What's going on, Facebook? Well, Facebook people. Sorry, we were just talking about Facebook and stuff. This is Steve from the Range Minded Podcast, and who do we got over there?
So Nick is here in Boise, and we also have a special guest today. Greg Medford is joining us via FaceTime because for some reason, me and Steve, since we lost Mark, we're not the most technical, so we're gonna have to figure out how to bring people in when we have problems. But anyways, Greg, say hello.
Hey everybody, what's going on?
Yeah, if you guys, well, first of all, Greg needs to know, Mark, who we used to have on the show, was actually a big time radio guy, does a lot of voice work, and he was the one that was really running the control board like all the time. He's the guru. He'd be like, "Oh, let's just do this." Would have fixed it. Well, now
this is my third time ever having a guest on. This is the fifth time that I've ran the show without Mark, the audio professional. So we're pushing through.
Yeah.
All right. So basically, it's like when you show up in country and they hand you new crypto gear and say go to war.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
It's all good, man. It's all good.
Perfect.
So, Greg, let's if there's anybody that doesn't know who you are, let's tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've got a little knife company out here in Phoenix, Arizona, and we're fast growing. We make a lot of stuff. I'm a staunchly American-made guy. I basically declared war against China about 10 years ago, and everyone's finally catching on. I think, I made the mistake of reading intelligent threat assessments written for the American military as a hobby. I'm the opposite of wokety woke. I'm pissed. And I'm mad at what's going on in the world. I'm mad at how we're handling it. I'm mad at COVID. I'm mad at the election. And I've never minded losing. I've had kicked in probably about as often as I've won. If you really go to battle, unless you're just routing the world and slaying the beast, you lose almost as much as you win. And if you're a winner, you win a little bit better than you lose. You lose a little more than you lose. So I've been comfortable getting my teeth kicked in, but I'm not comfortable the way this went down. I'm not comfortable with everyone trying to perpetrate a lie in secret, and I'm just pissed off. I'm just pissed. I'm another pissed off bald white guy.
Hey, that's a great haircut.
So I've actually known about Medford Knife for a long time. So I've bought some of your stuff. I've sold some of your stuff. I've followed you for a while. I just recently started following you on Instagram because a friend of mine, we actually did a giveaway with you for a police officer in California a couple weeks ago. And that's what got me to hear a video that you did. What was it, 2 weeks ago? And you literally lit my head on fire with your video that you posted about being free.
Was it
Which one?
Be Free, that one?
Yeah, it was. Oh, I'm dropping stuff.
Yeah. And that video was freaking awesome.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm trying not to have my anger come through so much lately. I'm trying to explain to people why my worldview has ended up the way it has, because I think a lot of people, it's easy to take guys with my perspective and label us as extreme or say that we're kind of crazy because we are really far off the beaten track, and it is the road less traveled. But if you take the time to explain it, I find there's a patriot. What's interesting is I still think only 3% of human beings will jump into a fist fight. The other 97% will just put their hands up and take the beating, and 3% of us will just claw somebody's fucking face off. I think there's something inside of that other 97% or 98%, whatever the number is. There's something inside of them there that wants to get out. So sometimes they just need to be liberated by explaining it well. And even if a guy drives a Kia Soul and his wife's in charge and his testicles have been bronzed and in her purse for the last 8 years and he hasn't gotten laid in 6 months, even that guy, he'll sit in the garage quietly listening, and he's a patriot, and I got the voting booth. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I just try to convert people to being right-minded. That's all.
Well, you definitely have an eloquent way of lighting people on fire. Like, when Nick's like, "Hey, we're gonna have him on," and then he shared that video, the be free, not say it. Yeah, yeah, dude. I text Nick back, and I says, "I think I'm in love."
So it's really interesting because so the first video that I watched recently from you was when you were talking. It was a customer service video, and you were talking about this guy who wanted a high polished knife, and that you guys don't do high polish.
Nishimoto.
Yes, yes. And so the feeling that I got from listening to you talk, I was like, I got to turn on post notifications because I don't want to miss any content that this guy puts out. And then the next thing that I watched was Don't Be Safe, Be Free. And as soon as I watched that, like going through watching that, I had like this, because I as well am a patriot. Like I try to speak my mind, but the way that you conveyed your knowledge and your perspective and the way that like things were going down, I immediately shared that to Steve and I said, we're getting this guy on the show. And then I made that Instagram post asking you to come be on the show. And then you responded and I was like, hell yeah, this is the guy that I want to talk to. Like the way you convey yourself, like Steve said, it how do I say this? So it attracts the right type of people when they listen.
You know, it's I have a lot of people. I don't know if you ever saw the movie Howard Stern Private Part, but they were talking about how people hated Howard Stern. And there was as many people who hated him as who loved him listening to his show. And there were some producers at NBC, I believe, and they were like, why, if they hate him, why do they listen? And common answer when surveyed, they want to hear what he's going to say next. There's a little bit of that with me, but I'll tell you, hundreds and hundreds of people who sent me messages saying, I hated your guts. You got me. I've been listening for 6 months. I've been listening for a year, especially during the whole Trump, what I would call Trump era number one in my optimistic. So, I was educated in the belly of the beast. I went to school up in New England, and I have a liberal arts degree from a liberal arts college. I went to Gettysburg College and the University of Massachusetts. Nice. I have a degree in philosophy. So I'm an infantry guy with a minor in mathematics. I just about have another major in theology and a degree in philosophy. And so a pretty strong chemistry and math background, and here I am making knives. But I've traveled all over the world. I've seen all kinds of things, and I feel like I'm a little older than the current big wave of combat veterans, but I'm pushing them all to not just do that whole like we're working out really hard for Armageddon and come to our leadership thing for business, because I kind of like call bullshit on all that. Like, okay, fine, whatever, that's your shtick. But I really think it's our job as veterans. Are you guys both veterans?
No.
So neither of us are veterans, actually.
Don't think any less of us.
No, not at all. But there is a hierarchy that happens amongst guys, and I have felt it, and I've always felt bad for folks who didn't serve because they feel a little less than, even though it's not true. But there is something that all men feel if you have served and you volunteered, that you kind of earned a little right to have some fire in your belly. It doesn't mean you're right. It's just, I think that's in the pecking order out there, So I told my boy, my boy says, well, I said, son, you have to go in the military so you're never standing in a circle of guys who are and feel less than. Go do it. And so that was my advice to him, and maybe it's wrong-headed or maybe it's egocentric, but I feel like we have a responsibility, whether we're patriots or veterans, to take our worldview, and if we've become patriots, it's like being born. It's like becoming a new person. I've heard so many people around me talk about how they listen to me and other guys like me, and they become a patriot out of the blue. Amy, my wife, she became a patriot out of the blue. She thought I was an angry, pissed off ex-Marine asshole. Now she found out I'm just a patriotic asshole. So, to see people become Americans right before your eyes who were born here, it's powerful.
Yeah.
And it's lonely because almost nobody else is. We got to reach out and find each other. We're like retards in an airport. Oh, hey, I know there's another crazy person like me who's seen through the bullshit. To get people to pull back the veil of bullshit, it's initially it's disorientating and people are pissed off, they're mad, and they want to go back to their old ways and watch CNN. But if you get them long enough, they start going, I fly above the bullshit chatter, and I'm up here in the real America. And it's a clean, awesome, patriotic place, and it's free, and it comes with awesome responsibility. How do we convey that to the people around us and the children in our lives and the teachers that we have our meetings with and the Karens at the store who tell us to put our mask on? How do we deal with everybody to remind them we're a nation of free men? And I just am on the mission.
Well, it's a noble mission for sure. And I think there, you said it's kind of uncomfortable to get out of that spot. To me, I immediately went to the Matrix, right? Right after he takes the pill and gets out of there, he feels sick, right? But his mind isn't opened yet. And once Morpheus opens his mind, he realizes I've been living a lie. I've been taught a lie.
That's a parable of an ancient story. It's called Plato's Allegory of the Cave. And so Plato says mankind sits in a cave of darkness, staring at the wall. And behind mankind is a fire. And between the fire and the wall, behind man, are these objects of reality that slip in front of the fire and cast these shimmering shadows on the wall. And he says, every now and then, somebody gets up and walks out of the cave. Most people slap their hands over their eyes from the bright sunlight and run back to the cave. Some people stay out long enough to let their eyes adjust to see reality. And that's, who do you want to be? Do you want to sit in the cave staring at the shadows of some other reality, or do you want to get outside and be in the reality? And that's the hard choice for people. They feel like everything's wasted before if they do it now.
Yeah, that's craziness. It's sad. Yeah. It's sad that we live in a world where I guess it just comes from kids being spoiled, right? We've been spoiled for so long that we just neglect to see the reality.
Only a country so wealthy could masturbate itself into irrelevance. I mean,
you need to make a hat.
You can't have 100 million people masturbating your country into fucking irrelevance and ignorance. Unless you're just that wealthy and successful. Yeah. I mean, it is literally, it's figuratively, it's the equal to the Roman orgy. Yeah. Everyone is just sitting around fucking and drinking and getting nothing done. While China is rising and Iran's making a nuclear bomb and North Korea is on the move, we're talking about painting dresses on transgender bathrooms at Disneyland. I mean, are you shitting me?
Yeah.
So with that said, with everything going on in the world, and you spoke on the COVID thing, and you spoke on you launched a war on China years ago. So with what we're doing now, and our focus being shift to transgender and racism and and the border, all of these things going on now, what do you think the effect on America is going to be as far as the detriment of us just losing focus of like moving forward and progressing while we're moving backwards, what it seems right now with everything going on, and the rest of the world is about to surpass us?
Well, look, here's the bottom line. 195 countries around the world keep data on immigration and where their people want to move to. And 195 countries around the world, the number one place by a gigantic margin above all other countries, by all countries globally, is the United States. The world knows, the world has voted, and we won. The problem is, we basically, the upper class and the upper middle class, has the stupidity that comes with royalty. Second and third generation royalty doesn't have to fight for anything. They didn't fight on the fields about Agincourt and Waterloo, and they're just a bunch of spoiled babies. So, we have the most fair, most egalitarian, most privileged, most ingratiating of all genders, creeds, and religions and races, and we're going to tear each other apart at the seams over this right now. And it is Marxism because what it means is we have to use facts, because if we use none of this stuff is true factually. We all know that to be the case.
Yeah.
So what they're doing, even, let's say, a crazy patriot like me, and let's go a little bit further to some maybe almost a radical right-wing terrorist, which I'm not. But even that person, all of us, even those of us on the opposite political spectrum, all of us have a heart. And so what they do is they make pleas that are not based on facts, but they make pleas based on heart. And they use the words equality, the words fairness, and they use the words they use these words that nobody ever wants to say. No, I'm not for.
Oh no!
Oh no! He'll be back. He'll be back.
Pardon the silence. We're having cut out because we're using him on FaceTime. So
yeah, you cut out the last few seconds there.
Oh, I was just saying. I was just saying. Who is against equality? Who is against fairness?
Yeah. The frickin' commies.
Who would even say that? Well, they're lying. Against fairness and equality. I'm against it. There's no such thing as equality. All there is equal access and equal opportunity.
Yeah.
We are not equal. Make no fucking mistake about it. And fair? There's no such thing as fair. All there is fair treatment under the law. That's all I want. I don't want my house to be fair to your house if I work twice as hard as you.
Yeah.
They twist those around. They use words that you have a hard time disagreeing with to make insane points.
Yeah, language matters.
It's only fair that we all live in a nice house. No, that's not fair. That's not fucking fair at all. It's only fair that we all live equally. No, that's not fair. That means you're stealing from 3/4 of the people.
Yep.
Fucking possible. So they say fair. The only thing I want fair is fair treatment before the law. That's it. And the only thing equal I want is I want an equal shot at the Constitution like everybody else. That's it. And then we let it sort itself out. But they twisted it. So,
which I would say that I 100% agree with what you're saying, but the ability to fair in the law has been so skewed that now there's no fairness in the law because we are in the court of public opinion now, to where obviously we all know at this point we're guilty until proven innocent, and the ability to be proven innocent, there's no fairness anymore when it comes to the law. There's so many justifications, and like, I don't know how you say this, but certain people get more leniency because of who they are and where they come from.
Well, and that's us complaining at the results of something that's happened. When the Enlightenment settled down and the founding fathers took the ideas of Locke and Hobbes and Hume and Montesquieu and crafted together this republic, everybody wasn't in on everything. This is a recent thing where every motherfucker is in on everything. We were all just working. Everybody was out working. Now everybody's involved in what's going on in Ferguson. Now everybody's involved in what's going on in this city for this beating or this shooting. And the truth is, nobody knows what happened, and the jury barely knows what happened, except we're all burning down cities because Anderson Cooper and Don Lamont tell us, what's actually being adjudicated. We're not all supposed to be in on it. Yeah. I feel like all these crimes, they shouldn't be reported until they've been adjudicated.
Yeah. I 100% agree. And I had that same feeling when we talked about, I think it was Ferguson where the kid shot the guys that were attacking him. I can't remember where that happened. But
that everybody was house, and that was up in wasn't that up in where's the cheese people?
Michigan?
No, above
Wisconsin.
There. Wisconsin.
Yeah, so the Rittenhouse thing, everybody wanted to convict that kid before he ever got a chance to go to court. They wanted all of the information, and all I could say was, it's not our job. I'm not his peer. I'm not in that state. I won't be on that jury. let the legal system do its job. And if there's a problem, if we feel there's a problem after the fact, that's when we get to protest or do whatever. But the fact that people now want to, they want a verdict before the person's even had their chance in court is ridiculous. And it's exactly what you're saying. We weren't meant to be involved in everybody's shit.
There with a pitchfork. And in all American history, we have kept them on a leash.
Yeah.
And so...
Put your seatbelt on.
Still there?
Yeah, we're still here. Your truck, did it connect?
It's trying to. I'm trying to stop this shit from happening. I don't know how to make a smart vehicle not do this, but I was sitting out here. It's in Arizona. I'm sweating bullets trying to turn this thing off. The mob has, since Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, the mob's been there with pitchforks.
Yeah.
And we've kept them at bay. I mean, half the Westerns have a sheriff locked up in a prison trying to keep the mob from killing some criminal, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, they're encouraging the mob.
For the sake of fairness, which is freaking ridiculous. Like, it drives me crazy. But if you want to go to the Capitol,
it's going to get us some kind of jurisprudence that is not happening behind closed doors.
Yeah.
And it's the press. It's the press who's doing this.
Manufactured ignorance.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, it's so sad and it's so frustrating, and we don't really see it much in Idaho, at least not yet. But you get out of Idaho, and Salt Lake has seen a little bit of. My brother-in-law's a deputy for Salt Lake County, and they had some issues down there. They've had some cops being killed, and then you get out, obviously Oregon, Washington, California. Like, it's closing in on the states that don't want it, that don't want to deal with the crap. It's going to happen to all of us unless we don't stand up and say no more shit.
Well, I see it here with the California license plate. Every 12th license plate's got fucking California on it. And every one of those sons of bitches I run into, I stop them and talk to them. Hey, did you buy a gun yet? What's your deal? And they say, oh no. I go, well, get the fuck out of my state, you fucking pinko commie.
I think
that's exactly how it is here in Idaho as well. It's funny because
asked about it.
So I get people who come into my shop. People will come into my shop to buy holsters for their gun, and I'll ask them where they're from because obviously they just moved here and they don't want to tell me. So I'm like, oh, so you're from California? And they're like, well, and I go, well, as long as you're standing in here buying a holster for a gun, you're okay with me. But the minute that you want to conform Idaho to California, then I want you to go the fuck back.
Yeah. Well, I kind of want them gone before that, but every one of those fucking Subaru Foresters and BMW SUVs, every one of those fucking Californians can go the fuck back as far as I'm concerned, because they think they're leaving there because things have gotten weird, and then you start. That's why I always talk about, hey, did you buy a gun yet? Oh no, or how come? Well, we don't really believe in guns. What the fuck are you talking about? I just get right into their grill, and I'm hostile as shit. I'm in traffic. I'm like, hey, I see you got Cali plates. Who'd you vote for? And they're like, what? I'm like, who'd you vote for? And they'll say, none of your business. I said, go back to fucking California. And then they see my stickers on the back of my truck, and they go, oh, God, don't avoid that guy. He's crazy. because I love Arizona. We're free, and, listen, people come out here, and they my friends have come, I've had friends, I got friends that are libtards, and they'll come out, and they love it. And they say, wow, this place is great. And I go, and Babylon's not burning, and every other vehicle's got 2 or 3 firearms in it. I said, I have 5 guns in my car. They're like, what? I go, well, just in case. Maybe I'm in the back when something happens. I don't know.
It's better be prepared, right?
I think I spend a lot of time in Arizona. I have a friend down there that lives just outside Phoenix, probably pretty close. Close to you guys. So it's very similar to Idaho, except for you guys have one season, and it's called Hotter Than Shit.
Yeah.
And we have two. We have mostly winter and then a couple days of summer.
Yeah.
You have colder than shit, and then everybody in Coeur d'Alene.
Yeah, exactly. So it's pretty much the same feeling, just different weather. But so with that stuff said, so what is your response to this whole COVID thing that's going on? Where, I mean, 2019 we had 1.5 million deaths from tuberculosis, which is more than I think we've had from COVID, and we didn't shut down the country. So where do you sit on that?
Well, what's interesting is I haven't worn a mask all year, and I had to fly to Sacramento one time, and I didn't wear a mask through the airport, through security, through the gates. When I got on the airplane, the Karens that work for the FAA, they're like, "Hey, you're not flying without it." So it's the only time I wore it. Here's what I think. I think the mortality rate of Americans is almost completely unchanged year over year per capita growth. They can lie, they can say everything they want, and I don't trust anything at this point because of so much anecdotal evidence to the contrary. What they don't lie about is the total number of deaths. And the mortality rate of Americans hasn't changed much.
They just recalculate those deaths, or recategorize them.
Yeah, they're just accountants throwing it in a different column for their agenda. But we died at a very similar rate this year as to last year, and increases about the same amount every year, and we're just about on track, or like 0.1% higher. So, if you take into account that half of all deaths from COVID directly attributable in the United States were in nursing homes, would we have done this for half the death? I think it's a fool's errand. The day this happened, I came into the factory. I said, guys, this will never end until we retake the country back. This is like some sort of safety takeover. And it's the scariest kind of thing there is, because
they're using emotion. They're not using arms.
For your safety.
Yeah.
We need to do this for your safety. We need to shut down your business for your safety. We need to shut down your town for your safety.
Well, they created this emotional state where people say, "I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this to save others." And they did this to all of these Karens that stop you at the store or on the airplane or in the airport. I'm doing this to save you.
This fucking broad had the balls to ask me if I had been if I'd had the vaccine yet. And I said, "Well, before you get into the vaccine with me, how's your IUD working out?" "Excuse me, sir?" I go, "What fucking planet are you in where we can ask each other about our private medical business? Have you ever fucking heard of HIPAA? Tell me about your vagina. Before we get into my fucking COVID, which I don't have, let's talk about your vagina. How's that feel?" She was like, I'm like, "Are you kidding? That's the new norm?"
I just stole, just so you know, I just stole that defense from you. That is my new go-to.
I'm like, it's like asking a female pilot if she's having her period right now. "We're not sure if we want you to fly." You fucking kidding? No,
I have to fly to Salt Lake in 2 weeks, and before I get on the plane, I'm going to ask if the pilot is on their period.
Oh, if they start doing this, the vaccine thing's the craziest thing ever. Like, I have to go to Europe in March, and they're saying, travel's unrestricted for Americans who've been vaccinated. So I'm literally looking at, like, where I can get my papers falsified. Like, how do I get my papers to go to Germany and not be arrested by the vaccine Gestapo? I'm not certain. Yeah. What do I do?
I just imagine Schultz there at the gate just waiting for you.
That's like the fucking Great Escape. I'm like, all right, I got my fake vaccine papers. I'm good.
Well, I have a hookup for you if you need some of those. We can talk off the show.
Okay. We will look back on this, and as years go by, we will see this as the greatest self-induced tragedy to hit humanity since the Holocaust.
Which is frustrating is every country is involved. Like, it's not just the states. Like, it is literally every country. it has just come together and created this. And I'm not saying that I believe in a one world government, but I'm also not saying that either. But still, like it's freaking ridiculous. Like, and I'm tired of it.
Yeah. The problem is the difference between the ruling elite in any country in Europe and the United States is non-existent. They are all lackeys to global companies.
They're all on the same team.
They are all lackeys to the same risk-averse sentiment that made Europe a shithole that we all ran from for 300 years before we formed our own country.
Yeah.
So
they've done this in Europe a few times. They rounded up all the women during the Dark Ages, and any one of them who didn't think right, they burned them at the stake.
Yep.
They in the 3rd century, they rounded up all the books and burned them. And every now and then, they have these big purges in Europe, and they don't have it all figured out. They're a bunch of fuck-ups, in my opinion, because they're a bunch of goddamn sheep, and they don't have enough guns.
Yeah, they have no way to stand up and say enough.
That's right. How do you stand up if all your guns are locked at a public club where you're allowed to shoot once a month if you file a letter 14 days in advance?
Yeah, if you've been good.
If you've been good.
Yeah, my dad was born in Berlin, so my grandma didn't talk much about it, my Oma, but there was definitely there was no way it was free. He was born right at the end of the war, 44. But
yeah,
I mean, he still had to grow up in a decimated town with nothing, no food, nothing. But
right.
somebody was rich and in control.
Yeah. Well, these, I really see there's been a Machiavellian pact with the devil, and maybe it's our parting thought for the night. Here it is. We have.
Oh, big tech doesn't want you to say it. Oh no! Oh no!
5.
You got to get him to start over.
Yeah, you're gonna have to start over. You cut out.
Did I get blocked out?
As soon as you started, like the second you started, it cut out.
Spectacular. So if I cut out, just wave your hands because I can see you guys. So here we go. There are 5 companies that have global market penetration near 100%.
Wow.
They have investor reports and investor feedback that they have to meet each quarter. And what do you do when you are Facebook, Apple, YouTube, Microsoft? What do you do? And Amazon? What do you do if you have near market penetration and you're trying to boost your earnings next quarter? And what do you do if your biggest adversary is the brick and mortar world? What you do is what China has just come out in there was a bunch of documents leaked today about China. They have a spoke.
This is going to be a short one. We're going to let this be his final thing. So.
Oh, did you guys lose me?
Yeah.
We lost you right at China, right after the leaked documents, and after you get that out, we'll let you go.
All I was going to say is they have a stated goal to take over the internet to control the ecosystem of information and distribution. That's their goal. And our company is doing it, and they're manipulating the system. And it is no mystery how you get to buy more stuff if you're Amazon and you're competing against real stores. The first thing that shuts down the real stores. If you're Facebook and you were literally irrelevant 18 months ago,
yeah.
Stop people from being able to see their friends and family. That'll make you relevant again. What do you do if people are bored with, get people bored with TV and they'll watch YouTube? Get people to have to spool up a home office, they'll buy more Microsoft products and more Apple products. That's what's happened. It's no mystery.
Yeah. That's crazy. And it's pretty obvious. Like, you don't think about it until you put it into words and listen to it.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's not like I mean, maybe they did get together up at Sun Valley and come up with a plan, but I just think out of self-interest, they're greedy motherfuckers, and they're like, hey, we can get away with this.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a huge portion of it.
And they're monopolies,
Yeah.
and monopolies are against the law. They are monopolies, straight up.
Yeah, but they don't care. They're not being governed.
And our government is not doing anything about it. You know, the SEC is not doing anything about it. You know, no one's doing anything about it. We broke up the phone companies because, you know, we broke up AT&T.
Yeah, Ma Bell was
Ma
too
Bell.
big.
That's right. We broke them up because you didn't want to have one company controlling the communication of the citizens. It's exactly the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy.
Crazy. Well, I could go on and my head will explode. I could go on and your heads will explode. But the big thing everybody's got to do, everybody has to be aware, everybody has to fight it, and everybody has to say it out loud to everyone they talk to so people start doubting the party line.
Yeah.
Because that's the most important thing.
100%, and I'm glad that we were able to get you on here. I'm sorry that we couldn't get it 100% the way it was supposed to be, but the content and the information that you shared is definitely what we wanted to get out there. And anybody who's not following Greg on Medford Knife on Instagram needs to be. And
He's got your YouTube channel. He's got a lot of videos on there.
Yeah, I've got it's Medford Knife at YouTube. It's Medford Knife at Instagram. It's Medford Knife at Facebook. Or you can go to medfordknife.com and see me there and jump into my feed. I've been ringing this bell. I've been talking about this quiet war, and I've been talking about people making sure that they connect their pocketbook morality to their personal voting.
Yeah.
Because if we don't buy from the places that we hold to higher standards, we're cheating. You know, if you want clean water and clean air and fair work rights and time and a half and 3 layers of insurance and protection, well then how fucking dare you go buy from anything from China? How dare you?
Yeah.
You know, is some fucking hippie going to tell me how I need to live better while they're drinking out of a fucking Yeti mug made in China? Are you shitting me?
100%. 100% agree with that. And I am absolutely happy that you came on the show tonight and that you shared that with everybody. I want everyone to follow you on all of those platforms, as well as down the road, I want to have you back when we can get this whole software situation figured out and have another conversation with you. Like I said, the way that you speak and the knowledge that you share, like that's what we want to get out there. And I just keep doing what you're doing. You're a great patriot. Thank you for your service. And thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate you more than you'll know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, fellas. Have a great night. Have a great night. Red, white, and blue, man. Live free or die.
Right on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Have a good night, Greg.
Yep. See you, man.
Later.
All right, Steve. Well, that was our first guest that we had to kind of go off cuff and do a phone interview, but I think that came out pretty well. And so we spend the next like 15, 20 minutes and just kind of tell me what you thought about Greg Medford.
First of all, first thing that comes to mind is you can never draw from an empty well, right? That dude, his well of knowledge is spacious and deep. I didn't know he had that much education. No offense, Greg. But
me neither.
But so I think that gives him so much validity in his conversation that, dude, he makes me laugh. And I hope we can get him in person, dude. If we can get him to Boise and just hang out at the range or something or whatever at the Sunrise Cafe over a corned beef hash, I don't care, dude. That guy's a stud.
Well, he mentioned Sun Valley, so he knows about Idaho.
Yeah, and Coeur d'Alene.
Yeah, so no, that was awesome. I'm so glad that I drove down to the shop on a Sunday to do this. Like that was great.
We were at the point of like, well, see you later.
Yeah, I was like, if we don't hear back in a couple of minutes, like I'm gonna head home. It's Sunday night. My son's at home, and we just finally Greg got a hold of us, and he was like, man, the internet's not working, this link's not working.
Yeah.
Like
It was
me and
like a
Steve at the
cascading
beginning of this, we
failure.
had microphone problems. Like everything was against this happening. And I said, you know what? Screw it. Let's just do it. Put the phone up to the microphone and have him call in. And I am so glad that we did, because I got the same feeling listening to him talk now as I did when I first saw his IGTV video that was don't be free, or don't be safe, be free. And if you guys don't follow him, you need to be. I did not realize that he had that much education and that he is pretty much a conservative philosopher of 2020.
Yeah. He really is a philosopher. Like,
Oh, 100%.
nobody else has ever thrown out Plato on the show. We didn't get a chance to ask him the questions or anything. He was in a bit of a hurry just because the way his schedules worked out. If we can get him on again, when we get him on again.
Yeah, 100%. Like even the, what was it, 20, we had him on for 33 minutes is what it says on the thing, and that was so impactful. And I hope that you guys listening, like, go back and listen to what he said, because it's 100% true. And there was a couple questions I wanted to ask him, but I knew he had things that he needed to do. It's Sunday night, and like, yeah, if you guys want to hear from Greg Medford again, like, send us an email, message us on Instagram, let us know what you thought. And if you agree with him, do the same. Comment on Instagram, let us know what you thought.
Yeah, that you need to follow him. Like, I just watched another video before we were getting ready for the show tonight of his. Yeah, his language can get a little salty. You got to understand he's a Marine. Like, just get over the language of just the words he's using and listen to what he is saying. Like, that's the difference. Because he's able to put things out there that should blow your mind, open it up, and have that Matrix moment, right? I mean, for us, we already are on the same page as he is, but he's just not scared to get out there and talk to other people about it.
Well, and I think that between the last show with Adam Boyce and this show with Greg Medford, like, I want you guys to understand, like, me and Steve are on a mission to get people on this show that you need to hear from, that you should be paying attention to. Like, I have a list of like 25 people right now that I'm working on getting on the show. And so we really want you guys to share this, comment, let us know who you want on, and listen to what is going on around you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's time to wake up. Because as we sit, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen with the government. We don't know where some of the gun laws are going to go federally. I know state-wise, we've passed some really good legislation, but that really doesn't void Idaho from any new gun laws. It just restricts Idaho law enforcement from enforcing it.
That reminds me, so I still am trying to get Greg Pruitt on the show. I did see in the news the other day that people were debating, what is it, SR 12 something, whatever they changed HB 300 to.
Yeah,
they were debating that the other day in the news. So I'll be interested to see. I think that it made it to the governor's desk. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it passed Senate.
Yeah.
I don't know if it passed 100%. I don't know if the governor's done anything with it.
So I don't have a ton of confidence
in the governor.
Yeah, I would like to say, I would like to get Greg or one of those people, or even Senator Zito back on here and see what, if that does pass, what that does for the citizens of Idaho, and kind of get a clarification of what that does for us.
Yeah.
So, with that said, we're a little bit short today. We're at about 45 minutes, but I think but
we were communicating via for like an hour and a half now.
Oh, 100%. But I think that we've generated enough value tonight with having Greg on here that we can cut it a little bit short. And I'm going to start editing this up and getting the audio kind of cleared up, because, like I said, we had to have Greg on FaceTime and Steve held him up to the microphone. So it's going to be the audio is going to be a little sketchy this time, but we'll work to get that better going forward. But I just want to get this out there for everybody, and I'm excited for what we have coming in the future. And me and Steve are glad that you guys are listening. So
yeah, make sure you get if you're like what you're hearing, and hopefully you do, share us with other people. Copy this episode and share it on your Facebook or whatever. Or share the link, I guess, not copy the episode, but share the link, rate us on whatever platform you're listening to, because that will help us. We want to do some big things, hopefully in the near future, and some huge things in the future. And it won't be possible if we don't have people showing their support and helping us out, because we really feel like there's value in what we're offering, and we want to bring more value to the table. So yeah, share us out there, get us, maybe it's a selfish wish, but just get us out there to your friends. We want to be heard more. But that sounds desperate.
That you're getting a little desperate there, Steve. So
please.
If you feel that you got value from the interview that we did tonight, like, share, comment, leave us a review on iTunes. Also, if you have people that you would like to hear on the show, send us a message, podcast@iishooting.com, as well as you can find me at Hoftac Industries on Instagram, Facebook, and HofTacIndustries.com. Right now I have 2 large giveaways going on the Hoftac page.
Oh yeah,
as well as every 1,000 followers up to 20,000, because we just broke 18,000 on Friday.
Nice.
I'm giving away something every 1,000 followers. We just gave away 5 Patriot trays at 18,000. We're up halfway to 19,000, and we're going to give away a Guardian Angel light system. And then we will do something at 20,000 that will be pretty big. So with that said, we are also going to do that with the range-minded page as soon as I get that all lined out. So share, comment, share the podcast, leave us a review, message Steve at podcast@iishooting, and we will see you next week.
Right
Steve,
on.
have a good night.
Yep, see ya. Be safe.